Hi friends, I'm back for Chapter 6 of the P15 Passbook, America's Passport for Unity. Let's dive right in and continue reading. If you are new to this chapter, please look at the previous, if you're new to this channel, please look at the previous chapters where I'm reading to you from P15 Passbook, America's Passport for Unity. People, Chapter 6. Politics aside, people are people, and we all want the same things in life. We are unified by that fact alone. God is no respecter of persons. He loves the one on death row just as much as he loves the one on the Supreme Court or on the front row of the church. God does not value one life over another. With regard to people, we will examine 4 areas: race, gender, class, and age. Race. Slavery, lynchings, mass murders of black people, and economic deprivation from lack of reparations, segregation, and lack of access are some of the racist errors in the struggle for black equality, human equality, and unity in America. The officially recorded lynchings in the late 1800s look a lot like the officially recorded police killings of unarmed black people in recent years. Technology and police body cameras have made recording such events easier, therefore providing more indisputable data. The fact that President Obama had to order federal investigations in Ferguson, Missouri and Baltimore, Maryland reveal the fact that we can no longer remain apologetically silent in the face of white supremacy, racism, and classism. I am neither a racist nor a separatist. However, like everyone else, I want to be comfortable and feel safe. We usually segregate ourselves out of comfort and because of historical treasures and historical pathologies. Some whites and blacks want to keep the races separate. We usually segregate ourselves out of comfort. Sunday is the most segregated time, not because we are all racists or nationalists. It is just where we feel at home, or because it is our family church. My heart is heavy just thinking of the massacre at Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina in 2015. We can no longer sing a song and then remain silent. Just as we brought to view in our previous discussion of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the shooter in the Charleston massacre, like every other human, has a need of belonging. My question becomes, who was he trying to impress? Where was he trying to belong? Who taught him that killing black people or any people was a good thing? Was there a parent, uncle, organization, party, or ideology that would say to that shooter, "Way to go, I'm proud of you"? Have mercy, Jesus. P15 is personal. The 7th P in the P15 paradigm is parenting, and I believe that racism is learned and therefore taught. Dr. Thinkenshine says that children are like boards. Whoever hammers the longest and hardest makes the biggest impression. Who was hammering hate, supremacy, and racism into the Charleston massacre shooter's consciousness? If we can hammer hate, quite naturally, we can hammer love, more love, love over hate. We cannot change racism overnight, but if each person makes a commitment to unity, order, faith, justice, peace, and equality, we can teach it to our children and grandchildren. We can start with little things. Sometimes society has to demystify the notion of the untrustworthy, promiscuous, greedy, stupid, unhealthy black person. We can break the ice with a smile and a happy attitude. We can walk into any situation with a positive attitude and be free to walk in our own black beauty and black boldness. I was in the market and saw a young white father playing with his toddler son. As I walked by, I smiled and said, "He looks just like you." The boy smiled and said, "Hello." Sometimes racism can be subtle because of people's experience or what I learned is called confirmed bias. While on the Dr. Thinkenshine tour in Roanoke, Virginia, we had no logistical glitches with a presentation at a public library until we sent posters with my black face on them. The book includes a parental warning due to explicit topics, i.e. sex, molesters, abortion, etc., out of concern for families. The library staff questioned the family-friendly nature of Dr. Thinkenshine, yet had no problem prominently displaying the book 50 Shades of Grey, which had no parental warnings at all. Confirmed biases cause people to have a mistrust for others based on stereotypes, historical legacies, and lack of exposure to images of black people other than what is portrayed in mainstream media. One of the librarians told me, "We are a family-friendly library." Anyone who knows anything about Dr. Thinkenshine knows that the goal is to talk to our children rather than to talk about our children. Subtle racism, deep mistrust, and downright rudeness, as was in the case with the Texas officer in the Sandra Bland traffic stop in 2015, can be just as dangerous as the more blatant acts of racism, for they too impede the progress of racial unity and social and economic parity. Each of our kitchen table discussions, where we can be transparent, and our subtle discussions has a significant impact on race relations. Yes, racism is real, and gender, and God is, yes, racism is real, but the real struggle is between good and evil. I know that God is above race and gender, and that God's angels have more than one face. Angels have more than one face. I used to look for my blessings to come to me in black. In the academy or in the church, I knew they'd come in black. Those which came in other colors, I thanked my Lord on high. I knew I could depend on black. They looked like me. That's why. But when it came time for mentoring, at a point where I could not turn back, I could not for the very first time count on my faithful black. So the lessons I learned, I'm here to pass on, is God is well above race. So don't look for your blessings to look like you. His angels have more than one face. That's a portion of the poem, Angels Have More Than One Face, from the Silver Anniversary Collection, Poetry for Peace, Power, and Love. One goal of the More Love movement is to help eliminate racism, violence, and all crime. We have become so bombarded with crime. We want to eliminate all crime with a special emphasis on hate crimes, blue on black crime, police brutality, misconduct, and murder, and black on black crimes. The more recent evil, mind-blowing, and too frequent fires at black churches are heartbreaking. My doctoral dissertation, The Pedagogy for Loving God, Loving Self, and Loving Others, was an ethnographic study of an historically black teaching church, St. Paul AME Church in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I was ordained as an itinerant traveling minister in the AME Church in 1992. In the AME Church, which is the oldest black denomination in America, I have served as a pastoral counselor, director of a youth center, assistant pastor, conference host, radio host, and preacher. So I have an ethnographic eye when looking at the church. As you know, the black church has historically been an holistic development center of black culture. An attack on the black church is symbolic of an attack on black life. Blue on black crime, which includes police brutality and police murder, is more magnified in America because of technology and social media. At the same time, it is nothing new. Prior to camera phones, police body cameras, inexpensive surveillance cameras, and social media, corrupt police officers could abuse, rape, torment, and murder citizens without any consequences. Please do one thing for the More Love movement today. Write your state senator, governor, and United States senator, requesting that each officer in your state has the legislative mandate and funding to wear functioning body cameras during each shift. The laws may have changed with the Emancipation Proclamation and even more recently, but laws do not change attitudes and temperaments. Some medical examiners and district attorneys generally take the word of the officer over any other, especially with regard to black, poor, juvenile, and female suspects. In small jurisdictions, everyone knows everyone, so confirmed biases and lack of taped evidence often leave black and poor people uncovered. I am thankful for the faithful men and women who serve and protect us. I was a police cadet for years and the president of the Hampton Police Explorer Post in Virginia. At the same time, as in any profession, those who are racist, classist, psychotic, and criminal need to be replaced with those who can serve, care, and protect in an unbiased manner. There is no reason for police militarization in such a civilized country. There is no reason, no explanation for all the murders, deaths of black people, male and female, while in police custody. It is senseless, brutal, and must end today in Jesus' name. Please see Appendix C for Dr. Thinkenshine's guide for your encounter with a police officer. Black on black crime and black on black hate has its roots in slavery. Whites were taught to mistreat us, and we were taught to mistreat each other. Whites were taught to mistrust us, and we were taught to mistrust each other. Friends, our struggle is not at any one time black on black, black against brown, or white against black. It is good versus evil. At the same time, we need to save the black community. We need unity in the black community. Now we have the Black Tea Party rallying against the NAACP. We have this pastor mad because a preacher came from out of town to help. We have some local chapters of civil rights organizations having popularity contests and doling out awards like dessert to those who do personal favors for them. Some want to acquire material things and status even at the expense of the struggle. Remember the black field hands who would whip the slaves for the masters and bring them gossip about the other slaves. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. I've seen the enemy. The KKK rarely comes to the sub or the south side and trash and kill and shoot dreams. Sometimes it seems the enemy lives right inside our own communities. No weapon formed against us shall prosper, no poverty, no abuse, no materialism, no crime. No weapon formed will prosper unless we lose faith and allow it over time. I've seen the enemy in red, white, black, yellow, and brown. Let's keep faith and unity. Willie Lynch gave the original frown. Don't let history get you down. Get up. Get on up. The devil's plan is canceled in Jesus' name. He's under our feet. Angels are in position to give us relief. Police shootings, missing co-eds. This is not heaven on earth. We can change it one person at a time. Hands up and pray. It's time for each heart to give MLM birth. I've seen the enemy. I choose to be free. Get on board. Come along with me. Each of my poems has a memory scripture. Romans 8:31. What then shall we say in response to this? If God is for us, who can be against us? This poem is from the Silver Anniversary Collection, Poetry for Peace, Power, and Love. Hate groups do ride through our black communities, shooting and burning. At the same time, we have black children killing black children. Legends baseball teammate was shot in the head in Mississippi on Monday, March 10th, 2014, and was buried on March 22nd, 2014. Rest in peace, fella. Fella was not killed by a member of the KKK. He was killed by a young man who looked just like he did. I know and bless both families. Now, fella who was a father is in heaven, and his shooter is serving life in Parchman Penitentiary. We owe it to fella and his shooter to do better. Speaking of Parchman, I visited Parchman several times in the 1980s and 90s while engaged in mission work in Tunica, Mississippi. Claudia Whitworth, editor of the historic Roanoke Tribune, gave me a copy of a book about Parchman Penitentiary titled Worse Than Slavery. It's urgent. Inspired by the research on mass incarceration of black men by author and professor Michelle Alexander, and by my years of volunteer prison ministry, I wrote Go Away, Jim Crow. Professor Alexander laid it down when she analyzed the fact that so many black men are in prison. Although right is right and wrong is wrong, there are biases throughout the valley of decision. Let's all try to explore the notion that we all want to belong. The new Jim Crow we can no longer ignore. Build the wall. Behind the wall, young, gifted, black, and or poor. Why do so many of our men have to fall? We all want so much more. Mental illness, bad timing, poor choices, unplanned parenting, racism, classism, bad company, true. But keeping blacks enslaved to feel safe and enhance the economy is really nothing new. Go away, Jim Crow. We want justice and parity now. Let's help our men and boys grow into men after God's own heart. Now is the time to start. From the Silver Anniversary Collection. Some movies, video games, and lyrics glorify violence. Consequently, children who are exposed to it may become somewhat desensitized. I read where between birth and age 8, a child or an unsupervised child may have witnessed 50,000 on-screen murders. We can do better. In memory of Fella and all the fellas of America, we can do better. We would be outraged as a nation if young white girls or old white men or some specific group other than black, mostly poor men and boys were killing each other, pulling each other down, and being killed by police. It seems as if black boys are endangered species. Willie Lynch taught that by age 16, black boys should be broken and ready to contribute to and enhance the economy. This is not a black and white book. This is simply the truth. The truth is very necessary for not only the survival, but also the self-actualization of black people in America. There are many well-meaning whites with the freedom riders of the 1960s and those who participated in the Black Lives Matter movement, a national protest against police brutality, police militarization, racial profiling, and police killings. Brad Pitt's character in 12 Years a Slave was ethical and compassionate. Those who are reading this book, and many from the More Love movement's radio, television, and web audience from past seasons, have helped work toward racial unity and social parity. I think the terms white man or the man should be replaced with unethical capitalist or the system. I read a Facebook post which shared, all whites are not racist, all blacks are not criminals, and all cops are not bad. True. God's angels have more than one face. Does that make sense? We can do better in our own black communities. Let me just say the KKK does not ride through our neighborhoods getting 11 and 12 different women pregnant, teaching 3 and 4-year-olds how to twerk, curse, braid, weave, and drop it like it's hot before they can even learn to pray, read, and write. I was shocked at the typical birthday party I attended in the South. Picture this: a lot of food, a lot of love, 99% women and girls. The women, each of whom got a new t-shirt and jeans for the party, talk together, and the children play outside with the exception of the dance contest. You will see 2 and 3-year-olds dropping it. The South is not dirty, as in dirty South, but we make it dirty when people brag and say things like, I got 26 children, but my father has 38. It is mind-blowing, and a lot of it we do to ourselves. Well, I only did 4 years, but my brother did 8. We can do better. One of my guilty pleasures is reality television, and as a social scientist, I am constantly observing, collecting data, and analyzing each segment. Although the producers only present what they film and edit, sadness came over me when Stevie J, Rich Dollars, and other black men on VH1 series Love and Hip Hop referred to themselves as the Creep Squad. This label glamorizes men and their actions as the norm in black America. Similarly, some of the black women on reality television bicker about what someone said, car repossessions, another woman's age, and other insignificant, shallow issues when we need to think about the children and the future. The entire pimp/stripper motif may impress some people on a superficial level, but we need to think of a new way to look at and appreciate ourselves and one another. The theme on many of the reality shows and songs which feature black people seem to focus on getting money. I know most of us are only 1 or 2 generations out of poverty and or out of the ghetto, but we have to focus on positive values, being grateful, and pushing the next generation toward excellence. Money is just the overflow. We need to unify and get our priorities in order so that we can promote unity and realize that we are all interconnected. Sometimes we, black people, are like crabs in a bucket, exactly the way Willie Lynch and his investor/owner colleagues wanted it more than 300 years later. We can do better. A black female family member who had never been kind to me warned me as I prepared to write my doctoral dissertation. Quote, "Don't get any black women on your committee," end quote. I imagined that her fear was that the committee member would dislike me for whatever reason, just as she did. It is time for us to break the cycle. We can end pathologies one person at a time. It starts now and it begins with you and me, the P15 way. While at Harvard Divinity School, I was elected president of Harambee, the Black Students Association. Harambee is in Swahili means we pull together. I do not know if any of my ancestors were from Swahili or somewhere else in Africa, but I do know that black people in America need unity. We need unity. We need to Harambee unity. Black, white, old, young, light-skinned, dark-skinned, degreed, non-degreed, churched, unchurched. Let's concentrate on these 15 principles individually so that individually and collectively we can do better. Instead of, or in addition to saying cheers or salud, when we toast, let's say Harambe. We pull together. We're not cotton-picking niggers or black animals. We are who the Bible says we are. Redeemed, bought with a price, brilliant and capable. We can do exceedingly abundantly above anything we can think, ask, or imagine. Ephesians 3:20. We can end generations of poverty, hopelessness, joblessness, and change neighborhoods with no viable business other than corner stores that more often than not are neither owned nor operated by black people. We go to the Justice Department, which we should, when a handcuffed black man in Mississippi who had been searched twice was shot in the head and the police said he committed suicide. We prayed, marched, planned, and preached in Ferguson, Baltimore, and New York, and engaged the Justice Department when unarmed black men were killed by police, and we should. We march and start social media campaigns when black women like Sandra Bland run into an ill-tempered, unseasoned police officer on a minor traffic violation and end up dead, and we should. At the same time, every day, black people are literally and figuratively killing other black people. We kill each other every day in Memphis, Chicago, Baltimore, in your city and mine. We want a white man or a white police officer to get the death penalty for killing a black boy or 9 innocent black Bible study members, but have a no snitch policy when we kill each other. In some neighborhoods, if a child or senior citizen is in the yard during a drive-by, they might catch a hot one too. May God bless the souls, families, and communities of Katherine Johnson, Trayvon Martin, Radia Boyd, Alicia Thomas, Yvette Smith, Chantel Davis, Ayanna Stanley Jones, Jordan Davis, Fella, Mike Brown, Kendra James, and Eric Gardner. May God bless the Charleston Nine, Reverend Clementa Pickney, Sharonda Coleman Singleton, Cynthia Hurd, Tywanza Sanders, Myra Thompson, Ethel Lee Lance, Reverend Daniel L. Simmons, Reverend DePayne Middleton Doctor, and Susie Jackson. The entire world grieves for our beloved just as we should grieve for the countless black boys and brown boys and white boys and yellow boys and girls who are gunned down, neglected, and trafficked every day. I met an African lady in the airport. She said that when she looks at blacks in the United States, it's like blacks are giving a scream. She compared the way blacks act to a baby having a tantrum. As a social scientist, I thought about it. If you take a baby's candy or toy, they get agitated and they scream. Blacks have been taken from our land, sold into slavery, and freed without reparation into segregation and economic disparity. As a race, we have often felt unvalued and unloved. When a person or group feels unvalued or unloved, it is hard for them to experience empathy. The More Love movement helps us to know where to place the anger that results from such detrimental treatment without violence and disruptive consequences in our own communities and elsewhere. Many of us blacks went from the plantation to the projects, government housing, to prisons. That is enough to make anyone scream. P15 teaches us how to scream in productive ways, which makes for human betterment. While society is racist and historically blacks have been dealt disastrous and crushing blows, we can each do our personal P15 best in spite of the subculture. We can break boundaries and crush pathologies one person at a time. Part of racism is the way society is structured. Part of our response should be to have values that bring us out of poverty and hopelessness. One concrete example is SAT preparation. It is not that white and Asian students are smarter or test better on standardized tests. Often it is that their families may value the preparation more. Rather than spending $1,200 on school clothes, why not spend $400 on clothes at a used store and $800 on SAT preparation courses for your 10th grader? Have your younger children ride with you each Saturday to take your 9th or 10th grader for preparation, so to them it becomes a natural progression. College is not for everyone, and some colleges are considering excluding SAT and ACT scores as an admission requirement. In any case, I use this as an example of ways we can balance out racism's toil and scarcity's toil in America. We need to come to another level of consciousness and erase the negative tapes in our minds. Often there is a noise or this tape playing saying, be physically strong and mentally weak. Don't trust each other. There are no more slave auctions. But if you're strong, you can make it to the next auction block, the NBA or the NFL draft. Then you can buy a car and your mother a house. If you marry an athlete or strip or sing, you can make it. That's the only way. In March 2014, a white male lawmaker apologized because he suggested that if NBA players were not playing in the NBA, all we would see would be a rise in the crime statistics. He said he does not have a racist bone in his body. He probably is not racist, but he has a confirmed bias because more black men of NBA age are in prison than there are in the basketball court or in college. It is as if the generalization of black men is that if they cannot use their bodies and talents to make money for the plantation owners, team owners, corporate sponsors, etc., then their only option is a criminal lifestyle. This is further perpetuated when some of the most celebrated black television shows and most popular music icons had their roots in some sort of criminal enterprise and or sports. Some may make it that way, but if we all do it the P15 way, our options are unlimited, Ephesians 3:20. The sky is the limit. We all need to do better. My African and European friends know about Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Oprah. My relatives in the Middle East know about hair weaves and rappers. I thank God for Oprah, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and hair systems, and I love hip-hop. But many do not know about the Sean Carter Scholarship Foundation, Marva Collins, what Oprah Winfrey is doing at Morehouse, what Pastor Liz Walker is doing at Roxbury Presbyterian Church, what President William R. Harvey is doing at Hampton University, or what volunteers are doing at Roxbury Youth Initiative, Renaissance Academy, Melrose Athletic Club, or My Brother's Keepers Club. We, black people, are often limited to being rappers. I love hip-hop. I'm a rapper too. Singers and dancers and folks wearing any odd clothing item that we can get from before our neighbor gets it, wearing all of our assets on our backs. I am proud of athletes and entertainers who have worked tirelessly to get out of the ghettos. However, that is not the only way to make it. We can do better. We have got to stop this noise and these tapes saying black boys get money fast, impress your friends and family, no one else cares, get street cred. The system is designed to make you think. Make us think our choices are limited. I love sports. My father was CIAA president. My husband ran indoor and outdoor track, played football in high school, and runs a nonprofit amateur boxing club. Our son played Little League sports all of his life, as well as varsity baseball and varsity golf. He was on the championship basketball team in middle school. I counted it as one of my greatest joys that I never missed a game or a practice. I was there to encourage our son, not necessarily for the sport. By the way, I intentionally missed one game when Legend was in grade school to teach him a gratitude lesson about taking people for granted. I was only a block away, but I had to make a point. I was on the swim team, which is my only athletic trophy. Some young black children think sports is the only way out of poverty and that their choices are limited. The sky is the limit. It is great to have dreams, and it is also good to have preparation and a backup plan. For example, if you want to play professional sports, which takes dedication and hard work, prepare yourself at the same time. Get your teaching credentials in a college so that you can coach a high school team or college team if you're injured or unemployed. As a coach, make arrangements to have summers off for family. As a coach, you can make arrangements to have summers off for family time and or graduate studies. The options are more than sports, entertainment, crime, fast money, the sex industry, and or jail. If you have a dream to go to college or pursue a trade, figure it out. What do you need to do to get there? The NFL and NBA seem like natural choices for black boys. Many of their heroes are athletes. As Willie Lynch taught, black males are supposed to be physically strong but mentally weak. We see the record number of millionaire black athletes who end up bankrupt and behind in child support. This is the archetype of the black male slave. Use him, make money off of him while he's strong and healthy, and when he can no longer make money for us, set him free to fend for himself. If we are not prepared, we are free to mismanage and overspend. It is delightful to see athlete scholars like Richard Sherman and Richard Wilson. One of the greatest life coaches on the planet, Iyanla Vanzant, tells the story of the way she went from rags to riches and then from riches to rags because she said she had a welfare mentality. With this mentality, we spend everything we have because we know the next month we will get some more. We have a white male associate who is a surgeon. He said that he and his 6-year-old son were watching basketball and his son asked him, "Why are all the people playing brown?" He said, "They're just better than we are." He probably said better in sports than we are, but we own the teams and the companies who own the television network we're watching them on. Let's face it, not too many of us, black, white, or brown, will ever be that tall, that fast, or wear a size 15 to 18 shoe. Each of us has most likely heard someone say, "He's good at basketball. He's going to make it out of the hood." Sports is not the only way out of the hood or out of poverty. In the Starz series Survivor's Remorse, the main character has the blessing and burden of making it out of the hood and bringing his mother, sister, uncle, and cousin and his wife along with him. Since 70% of black children are born to single parents, many young boys, athletes, or otherwise feel as if they have to make material purchases to compensate for their mother's struggle. It is a good gesture, but the pathology is that as mothers, we should pray and plan so that it does not become our children's obligation or burden to support us, fuel our dreams, or make up for past disappointments. If you are involved in sports as a career, male-dominated social engineering in America. If you are not involved in sports as a career, male-dominated social engineering in America has fashioned sports as an industry which dominates worship, prayer/meditation, silence, quality parenting, marital and family time. Often people take time away from parenting and marriage enrichment to watch other strong men compete. Super Bowl Sunday seems bigger than Easter Sunday in some homes. Football is great. At the same time, it steals quality time during the Lord's Day and special holidays. We are bombarded with football, beer, pretty people, delicious-looking food ads, and creative commercials. Social engineers use the entire sports culture as a way to dilute quality family time and sell advertisements. Time with the children and family is overshadowed by the images of the few families/corporations who own the major media outlets want us to embrace. I love sports, but I also believe in balance. Again, as Dr. Thinkenshine says, whoever spends the most time with our children and families has the biggest impression. Think about this social engineering concept. I learned last year that Friday is high school football, Saturday is college football, Sunday is professional football, Monday is Monday night football. Now they've added Thursday night football. Let's not forget the 24-hour football channels and NFL packages. The two games held on Thanksgiving Day is mind-blowing. I think it is socially engineered to dilute the family because the home is where the bonds form, traditions are created, and values are instilled. Are we supposed to do it during the commercial breaks? No. The commercials are just as interesting as the game. The world would be a better place if we would put as much energy into worship, silence, parenthood, marriage, prayer, and family time as we do into brackets, bets, balls, beer, butts, balling, and boobs. Some are so conditioned that no one is even allowed to speak during a game. Do you know anyone like that? The system teaches black boys that if you don't play professional sports, which was the dream of the majority of black boys, and to black girls, if you don't marry a baller, doctor, or strip, you cannot make it. When I traveled as a young woman, many in airports asked and even assumed that I was an NFL or an NBA wife. Why else would this black face be flying? I may have been on my way to and from hosting a conference, or the Holy Land, or Spain. Society and mainstream media teaches black people and poor people that if you do not choose athletics, entertainment, or college, there's a prison bed for you. And friends, no one is built for prison, just as no one is built for slavery. Professor David M. Oshinsky calls Mississippi's Parchment Farm Penitentiary worse than slavery. Dr. Thinkenshine teaches that if we pray, plan, and keep our noses clean, obey the law, we can have options. We cannot control white supremacy, racism, racial profiling, classism, confirmed biases, or the mental state of those in authority. However, we can control ourselves, our actions, our children, our households. We can be strong enough to erase the tapes that say things like, he's talking white. She thinks she's Miss College. You know how those light-skinned brothers act. You're pretty, so let her husband pay your bills. You don't have to go to college. If you have a problem with substance abuse, don't tell anyone, because then they'll know you have a problem. If someone threatens or rapes you, or rapes your child, you must have done something. Don't tell, especially if he's paying the bills, etc. We have to erase those tapes. Often the way others respond to us has a lot to do with the way they feel about themselves. Some children will make fun of another science fair project or trophy because they did not have anyone to help them prepare. If others ridicule you or talk about you, pray for them. At the same time, keep your eye on the prize and stay on course. Stay on course. We're going to put a pin in it here on this chapter on people. Stay on course, my friends. This is getting good. This is getting good. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, please subscribe to the channel. We're in the chapter on people, and we're still discussing race. We're in Chapter 6 of the P15 paradigm, and we'll continue on our next episode. Until next time, stay safe, stay encouraged. The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, give you peace, power, and love. More love. Boost.